Melania Trump has always seemed mysterious, and people have been interested in her story for years. Since she went from living in a small town in Europe to living in the White House, many have speculated about her marriage, her life, and what truly lies behind her quiet exterior. Now, at 54 years old, she is finally speaking about her past, ready to clear up misconceptions and rumors that have circulated for years. What shocking facts might she reveal? How do these revelations change the way we think about the Trump family and their time in the White House? Melania Trump, whose real name is Melania Trump, was born on April 26, 1970, in what is now Slovenia. She grew up in a vastly different world from the one she would later embrace. Her father, Viktor Trump, worked as a driver before moving on to selling auto parts, and his connections to the League of Communists of Yugoslavia likely benefited the family in certain ways. In their village of Sevnica, her mother, Amalija, worked as a pattern maker at a company called Jutranjka, which produced children's clothing for communist countries at the time. The Novs family lived in government-owned housing, yet their apartment was relatively well maintained. Its brightly colored walls made it stand out from the typically dull apartments of that era. Although the Communist Party publicly opposed religion, Melania and her older sister, Ines, were secretly baptized as Catholics. This act of quiet defiance was common in Yugoslavia and highlighted the gap between official policies and personal beliefs. She also had an older half-brother from her father's previous relationship, but she never met him. Melania was part of the local fashion scene from an early age. As the daughter of a factory worker, she frequently participated in children's fashion shows. Sevnica was known for its textile industry, and these early experiences on the runway likely ignited her passion for modeling. She had a deep love for fashion from a young age, learning how to sew and design her own clothes from her mother. This hands-on experience taught her the fundamentals of design and garment making, skills that would later serve her well in her modeling career. Melania was also academically inclined and performed well in school. She was even elected as the school treasurer in her youth. Around this time, her family moved into a two-story house in Sevnica, improving their living conditions. Despite growing up in a communist country, Melania was deeply fascinated by American culture. She saw Ronald Reagan's presidency as a symbol of change and hope for her nation's future. Her interest in Western culture only grew when CNN International was introduced in 1985, exposing her family to American movies and television shows. This exposure to Western media further fueled her aspirations and set the stage for the life she would eventually pursue. At the age of 15, Melania made a significant move to Ljubljana, the capital of Slovenia, to attend the secondary school for design and photography. Initially, she commuted daily by train from Sevnica, but after her first year, she and her sister, Ines, relocated to the city permanently. This transition immersed her in the fashion world and paved the way for her future career. After finishing secondary school, Melania enrolled at the Faculty of Architecture and Civil and Geodetic Engineering to study design. However, her modeling career quickly took off, and by the age of 19, she left her studies to pursue it full-time. During her husband's presidential campaign, she claimed to have earned a degree in design from a Slovenian university, but reporters were unable to verify this, as there was no evidence that she had attended college for more than a year. Melania's journey was far from ordinary. She forged her own path from designing clothes in a small state-run apartment to gracing the pages of high-fashion magazines. What challenges did this ambitious young woman from Slovenia face in the highly competitive modeling industry? Let's take a closer look. Melania began modeling at just 5 years old, but it wasn't until she was 16 that she truly caught the industry's attention. Slovenian fashion photographer Stane Jurko discovered her at a school fashion show and helped launch her modeling career. Interestingly, Melania originally aspired to be a fashion designer, a passion that would later influence both her modeling career and business ventures. Her breakthrough came when she won a modeling competition sponsored by the Italian company K. The prize included a role in a film, but she turned down the opportunity after the director made inappropriate advances. Instead, she remained focused on her career, changing her last name to Melania Naus and seeking work beyond Slovenia. She traveled extensively across Europe, building her portfolio and gaining industry experience. In 1992, she achieved a significant milestone when she placed second in the Jana magazine Look of the Year contest. This competition offered winners international modeling contracts, opening new doors for Melania. She briefly signed with RVR Reklam in Milan, but the partnership lasted only a few months. Over the following years, she traveled extensively across Europe, securing numerous modeling jobs that helped refine her skills and establish her image. One assignment, in particular, would prove to be remarkably prophetic. In 1993, she was cast as a model portraying the first female president of the United States. Looking back, this role feels eerily symbolic, given her eventual position as First Lady. By the time she was 23 or 24, Melania had achieved enough success as a model to afford to live in Paris alongside fellow model Victoria Silvstedt. Her journey from a small Slovenian town to the global fashion industry was nothing short of extraordinary, filled with challenges, ambition, and resilience. She kept building her portfolio and name while being immersed in the exciting European fashion scene. In 1995, when she met Paolo Zampolli, co-owner of Metropolitan Models in Milan, things took a big turn for the better. Melania's potential impressed Zampolli, who also knew Donald Trump. He told her to move to the United States and offered to manage her there. She would have a big change in her life and work after this meeting. In 1996, when she was 26, Melania made the big move to New York City. She moved in with photographer Matthew Atanian after Zampolli helped her get settled. They shared an apartment at Zindorf Towers in Union Square. Like many new models, her rent was taken out of the money she made with Zampoli's agency. This is standard practice in the business. Moving to New York City marked the start of a whole new part of Melania's life. Melania stood out from many of her model friends because she lived a disciplined life. She watched what she ate, stayed away from parties, and worked hard at her job. However, her first few weeks in the US were hard. Even though her trip visa didn't let her work, she still found 10 modeling jobs and made about $2,000 from them. She eventually got an H-1B visa, which allowed her to work legally. People are paying more attention to this time, and some are wondering if her early work in the US was legal. A Camel cigarette ad shot by Ellen Von Unworth was Melania's big break. The ad was shown on a billboard in Times Square and in Rolling Stone, giving her a lot of modeling experience. The chance came up because US law required cigarette ads to use models over the age of 25. This meant younger models couldn't be used, leaving Melania with a unique opportunity. Since her work was going well, she moved to a nicer apartment off Park Avenue, showing how successful she was becoming. Not only did modeling prove that she was comfortable in public, but it also taught her how to deal with media attention, something that would help her in the future. Melania didn't know that her job as a model would eventually take her to the White House. But what problems did she have to deal with on her way to becoming a citizen and marrying the 45th President of the United States? Let's look into it more. Melania Trump has often talked about how grateful she is to be a US citizen, calling it the greatest honor in the world. This shows how much she values her chosen country. Her path to becoming an American citizen was connected to both her personal life and her career as a model in the US. In 2001, she started the process by getting a green card, also called a permanent resident card. This card allowed her to live and work in the country indefinitely. However, there were challenges along the way. There are doubts about her eligibility for the EB-1 visa, sometimes called the Einstein visa. This visa is usually given to people with extraordinary skills, such as top scientists, famous business leaders, or great athletes. Some people have questioned whether Melania's skills truly met the high standards needed for this visa category since modeling was her main profession. Despite the speculation and controversy, Melania kept building her life in the US, preparing for the important role she would eventually play. Melania Trump reached two important milestones in 2006. She became a US citizen and gave birth to her son, Barron Trump. Around the same time, her husband, Donald Trump, began to consider running for president. Interestingly, she became a citizen before Donald entered politics, ensuring that her immigration status wouldn't become a campaign issue later on. Melania's path to citizenship also highlights an interesting aspect of US immigration policy. As a legal citizen, she was able to help her parents, Victor and Amalie Janavs, immigrate to the US through a process called chain migration. During his presidency, Donald Trump spoke out against this system, which allows citizens to bring close family members into the country. Many people took interest in the Navs immigration case because, despite the Trump administration's efforts to restrict family-based immigration, Melania's parents were able to become US citizens in 2018. As First Lady, Melania also made history. Before her, Louisa Adams, who was born in England, was the only other First Lady not born in the US. Additionally, Melania was the first naturalized citizen to hold the role, making her story even more unique. Melania Trump's background as an immigrant sparked both admiration and debate. On one hand, her story resembles the classic American dream, an immigrant who worked hard and rose to prominence. On the other hand, her husband's strict views on immigration created contradictions and occasional discomfort. As an immigrant, Melania and her son Barron retained their Slovenian citizenship even after becoming US citizens. This dual citizenship highlights the complexity of immigrant identities, as many individuals maintain connections to their home country while also embracing their new one. Melania often speaks about her immigration journey, emphasizing the legal steps she took to become a citizen. Sometimes, her story has been used to highlight the strengths of the U.S. immigration system, while at other times, it has been referenced to critique it. As First Lady, her immigrant background gave her a unique perspective that could have helped bridge cultural gaps and share her experiences at the highest level of government. However, opinions vary on how much she actually used this background in her role and whether it played a significant part in her initiatives. Trump and Melania first met at a party in New York in September 1998, thanks to a friend they both had named Paolo Zampoli. Trump was on another date at the time, but he became interested in Melania right away and asked for her number. She asked for his number instead, which was a bold move by Melania. Trump gave her some of his personal phone numbers because he thought she was trustworthy. A week later, they went on their first date. Melania stayed calm the whole time, perhaps to keep Trump interested. She also saw many similarities between Trump and her father, which might have made her feel more comfortable about the new bond. Trump and Melania's friendship had its ups and downs. They broke up briefly when Melania saw Trump's ex-girlfriend, Cara Young, leaving Trump Tower, but they got back together within a week. As they got to know each other better, dating Trump opened doors for Melania. His fame allowed her to make connections and find work, and she thought he was more polite than many of the men she had met in the modeling industry. In 1999, they appeared on The Howard Stern Show together and answered some very personal and bold questions. This made their romance public and became a turning point, drawing more media attention to Melania. As their relationship grew, Trump often took Melania to business meetings, partly to show off her beauty. However, he kept her out of actual business discussions due to his troubled relationship with his first wife. When Trump announced in October 1999 that he was running for the Reform Party's presidential nomination, Melania supported him, seeing herself as a traditional First Lady, similar to Jacqueline Kennedy or Betty Ford. The idea of a model becoming First Lady generated significant media attention. Their relationship faced a setback when news spread in January 2000 that they had broken up. Different stories circulated about who initiated the split, but they stayed in touch and reunited a few months later. Melania received her green card in 2001, solidifying her status in the United States. The following year, she moved in with Trump at Trump Tower. On April 26, 2004, while they were on their way to the Met Gala, on Melania's birthday, Trump proposed to her. Later, he admitted that Melania's lack of pressure regarding marriage made him more inclined to take the step, and he credited her with some of his recent successes. Compared to Trump's previous wives, Melania and Trump had a smoother relationship. She quietly supported him while maintaining her confidence. Melania traveled to Paris with Anna Wintour and André Leon Talley to find her wedding dress, eventually choosing one designed by John Galliano. There was great anticipation before the wedding, especially when she appeared in her gown on the cover of Vogue. They married at the Bethesda by the Sea Church in Palm Beach, Florida, on January 22, 2005. Their extravagant reception at Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate was planned by Melania and event coordinator Preston Bailey. The guest list included celebrities, athletes, media executives, and TV personalities. Melania had only one bridesmaid, her sister, Ines. After their marriage, the Trumps split their time between three homes: Trump Tower in New York, Trump National Golf Club in New Jersey, and Mar-a-Lago in Florida. Melania had a personal spa built on the top floor of Trump Tower for her use. Although they lived close to each other, they didn't spend much time together. Trump stated that this arrangement worked for him since he preferred not to think about the relationship when he came home. Melania accepted the situation, taking care of Trump without seeing herself as a gold digger. She often made brief appearances at Trump's property events before retreating to their private home. Melania never pushed Trump to learn her native language and described herself as a wife who did not interfere with her husband. When she announced her pregnancy, it caused a media stir and led to her second Vogue cover. Since she had been modeling before becoming pregnant, it was a bold move to pose in a bikini and an open coat while expecting. During her pregnancy, Melania focused on family. She spent much time with her sister, who had moved to New York to be closer to her, and found joy in frequent visits from her parents. Their presence was a great support as she prepared for motherhood, reconnecting with her roots and embracing this new chapter in her life. Melania's involvement in setting up a nursery at Trump Tower reflected her commitment to being a hands-on parent from the start. Her baby shower at FAO Schwartz, a famous toy store, was a significant event in her pregnancy. She made a meaningful decision to donate all the gifts and toys to a children's hospital, showcasing her sense of social responsibility and hinting at the charitable work she would later take on as First Lady. On March 20, 2006, Melania and Donald Trump welcomed their son, Baron William Trump. Donald chose his first name, while Melania picked the middle name. Their son's name held personal significance, as Trump had previously used Barron as an alias when acting as his own public relations agent. After Barron's birth, Melania's life changed drastically. She dedicated much of her time to raising him, stepping back from public appearances and social events. She used to go with her husband. This choice showed how committed she was to being a hands-on parent and how much she wanted to give Barron a safe and caring home, even though they had a famous family life. One interesting thing about her parenting was that she didn't use nannies very often. Unlike many of her friends, she insisted on raising Barron by herself and only asked for help sometimes. During Barron's early years, Melania's hands-on approach to parenting made her stand out and showed how much she wanted to be a part of her son's life. Donald Trump had made it clear that he wouldn't be involved in daily child-rearing tasks, so her commitment to being a full-time mom was in line with what he wanted. Melania agreed, but she told him she didn't want him to change Barron's diaper or put him to bed. This arrangement worked out well for both of them, with Melania taking on the main part of caregiving. As Barron got older, Melania put more of her attention on being a mom and stayed out of the public eye more. This change made her relationship with Donald worse, and rumors said that he started seeing other women during this time, which made Melania feel bad. But it was said that she didn't know about the women who later claimed they had affairs with him. Donald has 4 children from past marriages. Donald Jr., Eric, Ivanka, and Tiffany are from his first marriage to Ivana Trump, while Eric and Ivanka are from his second marriage to Marla Maples. Melania became their stepmother while she was dating Donald. She became very close to Tiffany, who was only 6 years old at the time. Melania made sure Tiffany felt like she was a part of her stepfamily, which showed how much she wanted to bring them together. Melania also helped Barron learn about different cultures by teaching him both English and her mother language, Slovenian. This grew out of her own experience as an immigrant, and she wanted to teach her son about both societies. Her time as a mother had a big impact on her job as First Lady, especially when it came to protecting children. Her Be Best program, which focused on health, education, and problems like bullying and drug abuse, showed how dedicated she was. She cared so much about being a good mom that she put off moving to Washington, D.C., so Barron could finish his school year in New York. Even though she was busy with public life, this choice showed how much she cared about giving her son a stable home life. Melania started her own jewelry line, Melania Timepieces and Jewelry, in 2010. This was her first step into business. This move showed how entrepreneurial she was and how good of a designer she was. The line was sold on QVC and included costume jewelry and fashion watches that ranged in price from $30 to $200, so a lot of people could afford them. Notably, Melania Trump decided not to use the Trump name for her brand. She wanted to make her own name for herself without using her famous husband's last name. She told reporters they were wrong when they called the brand Melania Trump, which showed how much she wanted to establish her own identity. After living in different areas like New York, Palm Beach, and Paris, Melania got ideas for her jewelry line from those places. This mix of cultural influences helped her create designs that were both sophisticated and reflective of her personal experiences. Her first collection sold out very quickly, which proved that she had a great sense of style and could connect with people. This early success demonstrated her ability to recognize trends in fashion and create a brand that people loved. Building on this success, Melania continued launching jewelry lines that gained popularity. Because she was an entrepreneur and paid close attention to details, she was able to grow her brand and maintain a strong position in the fashion world. Melania took another big step to expand her business in 2011 when she ventured into skincare products. She launched Melania Mark Skincare, a line of skincare items infused with caviar. The use of caviar, a pricey ingredient usually found in high-end food, helped her skincare products stand out in the highly competitive beauty market. This move showed how ambitious she was and how well she could identify profitable opportunities in the luxury beauty sector, adding to her long history as a businesswoman. Even though her skincare line ran into problems, Melania showed resilience and determination. Her legal battle with New Sunshine, the company that was supposed to manufacture her products, revolved around a breach of contract involving claims of preferential treatment. Melania's claim for $50 million in lost sales demonstrated how seriously she took her business ventures. The case was resolved in her favor, but the exact terms were kept secret. This showed her dedication to protecting her business interests. Eventually, Melania ended her jewelry line because she wanted to focus on family and being a mom, but her business ventures remained an important part of her life. They showcased her creativity, her acumen as a businesswoman, and her ability to leverage her fame to create successful products. She worked to separate her personal brand from her husband's by using only her first name. These projects illustrated her entrepreneurial spirit and gave her valuable experience that would later influence her role as First Lady. Her expertise in branding and design played a crucial role in shaping her public image in the White House, allowing her to manage her presence and the causes she championed strategically. Her work in business also gave her a deeper understanding of economic and business-related issues, which provided her with a broader perspective on important topics during her time in the White House.